It's finally that time of year where legacies are made and the way players are viewed can change forever. The NBA playoffs are where most basketball fans really start to tune in because every game, series, team, and player comes in with their own set of expectations and storylines, and every year we see countless unexpected surprises go down. Right now we have a general idea of how things should shake out, but reality doesn't always work out as planned, so today I'm going to be dishing out my 4 bold predictions for this year's postseason that may not be expected to happen, but I have a good feeling they could happen and surprise many. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. My first bold prediction for the 2024 NBA playoffs is that at least one team from the play-in tournament will make it to the conference finals. This can be from either conference, and I'm not sure I'm bold enough to call my shot on exactly which team it will be, but if there was ever a year for a lower-seeded team to make a deep run, it's this year. We saw this happen twice last year actually as well, when the Miami Heat made it all the way to the NBA Finals, and the Lakers made it to the conference finals, which nobody really saw coming at all. But with the level of parity in the NBA being greater than it's arguably ever been, I think this might actually start to be a trend. I especially like this to be a year for it when you look at the rosters that have found themselves in the play-in tournament this season. Starting in the East, we have the Philadelphia 76ers and Miami Heat as the two teams expected to make it out of the play-in tournament, who both could honestly be viewed as championship contenders. The Heat have proven that they can make a deep run as long as Jimmy Butler becomes playoff Jimmy Butler, no matter who stands in their way, and the 76ers have performed better than every other team in the conference besides the Celtics when Joel Embiid has been healthy. I wouldn't necessarily bet on either team to beat the Celtics in the first round, but whichever of them gets the 7 seed could honestly be favored over the New York Knicks, and from there, their path to the conference finals is clear. In the West, we have a packed house of talent in the play-in tournament, with the Pelicans, Lakers, Kings, and Warriors all fighting for the last 2 spots. The Lakers and Warriors come in with a history of championship experience, while the Pelicans and Kings have younger groups entering their primes on the rise, and again, this is a spot where the defending champion Nuggets may not be an ideal matchup in the first round to make this work, but whichever of those teams gets the 8 seed will absolutely like their chances against an inexperienced Thunder team, regardless of how talented they are. Experience tends to win out in the playoffs, so despite the Thunder obviously being an elite team, they've never been here before, and if they're tasked with having to eliminate LeBron James or Steph Curry round 1, that might not be a challenge that they're ready for. My next bold prediction for the playoffs this year is that the Indiana Pacers will upset the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round. The Milwaukee Bucks put this team together last offseason strictly with the postseason in mind. Last year they were the 1 seed and got sent home by Jimmy Butler and the 8 seed Miami Heat in the first round, so they made an incredibly aggressive swing by trading away Jrue Holiday for Damian Lillard in order to be able to hang with the league's other top offenses in the big dance, and this season the Bucks offense has definitely improved a ton as a result of that swap. The bad news though is that they sacrificed a lot defensively to make that happen, but the trade-off would have been well worth it if they had a healthy Giannis Antetokounmpo, but Giannis is expected to miss the first few games of this first round series, and all of a sudden it's looking like a repeat of last year. Things for the Bucks have been trending in the wrong direction ever since they hired Doc Rivers as their new head coach, as the team has a losing record, winning 19 games and losing 20 games with him at the helm, and they are by no means deep enough to outlast an elite offense like Indiana without Giannis Antetokounmpo. With Giannis on the court, they are 6.2 points better than their opposition per 100 possessions. Without Giannis on the court, the Bucks get outscored by 3.7 points per 100 possessions. That's a whopping 9.9 point swing with versus without their best player. And while Damian Lillard is capable of having some big scoring performances, I just think this is a disaster waiting to happen. The Pacers are the league's number 2 ranked offense going up against a middle of the middle-of-the-pack Bucks defense that is missing their best defender early on. If the Pacers take control of the series early, in Giannis's absence, the hole may be too difficult to climb out of by the time he's back on the court, and even then, when he returns, it's doubtful that he'll be playing at 100%. My next bold prediction for the playoffs this year is that we will have a brand new champion, and when I say this, I'm not just talking about compared to last year, I'm talking about compared to all of the champions in recent history. I believe we will see a new legacy cemented with a title this postseason, with a new name going down in the history books as NBA champion. The Nuggets, Lakers, Warriors, and Bucks all have titles in recent years, with their superstars leading the way, and the Clippers and Suns are two teams that may not have won championships themselves, but are now led by superstars in Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant, who have rings of their own. So what I'm saying is that this year's champion will not be one of the teams from that bunch. For a long time, the league was dominated by the names leading those squads, but last year we saw a new champion rise, as Jokic's dominance finally got cemented with a ring, and I like that trend of parity to continue this year, with someone new breaking through. There are a lot of young stars on the rise ready to dethrone the older talent, such as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the 1-seed Thunder, Anthony Edwards and the 3-seed Timberwolves, and even Luka Doncic and the 5-seed Mavericks. Then in the East, the team with the best record in the NBA, the Boston Celtics, still have not won a ring together with their core of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown and company, and made some pretty big splashes this past offseason to change that. Then the Miami Heat have come incredibly close a few times, with 3 trips to the conference finals and 2 trips to the NBA finals in recent years, and would love to finally get over that hump. The 76ers, with a healthy Joel Embiid, have performed as well as anybody in the NBA this season. The Knicks are by no means an easy out despite losing Julius Randle for the year, and the Cavaliers added a ton of shooting to their lineup this year after flaming out last year in the postseason, so all in all, there's a lot of teams ready to make a name for themselves. And finally, the last bold prediction I'll be making for this year's postseason is that the Boston Celtics will not make it to the finals out of the East. The Celtics have been the only real consistency in the Eastern Conference this season, and on the year as a whole, they've clearly been the best team in the entire NBA. They don't really have a notable weakness, they're incredibly deep, they arguably have the best starting lineup in the NBA, and they've got the best record in the league by a wide margin. And yet, I still feel inclined to buy into the year of chaos ensuing to break up the predictability. The East looks incredibly weak behind them on paper because of how far ahead they are record-wise, but the truth is that almost every other contender in the East suffered significant injuries throughout the regular season, so their records don't really portray how good they can be at full strength. Immediately in round 1, the Celtics will more than likely face one of their toughest tests against either the Miami Heat, who eliminated them in the conference finals last year, or the Philadelphia 76ers with, hopefully, a healthy Joel Embiid. After that, the Cleveland Cavaliers pose as a tough out with an improved spacing this season and a lockdown defensive interior anchored by Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. The Knicks are missing Julius Randle, but they actually just beat the Celtics a few days ago to let them know they are coming for them. And I know I predicted the Bucks would get upset earlier, but of course, if I end up being wrong about that, and Giannis returns quickly and looks like his normal self, then they can cause a lot of problems for Boston too, now that they have Damian Lillard to take some of the pressure off of Giannis in terms of creation duties. The Celtics are, of course, the favorites to go all the way this year for good reason, but things don't always go as expected. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think will go down this postseason. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.